Welcome to the Technocamp's Tower of Hanoi activity pack. For the next couple of videos, we're going to look at how to build and program the Tower of Hanoi. If you're not sure or familiar what a Tower of Hanoi is, it looks something like this. Usually has 3 or 4 tiles, but it can have more. And there are 3 rods or pegs. And the idea is you have a stack of tiles in ascending size or descending size, I should say, and you have to move the tiles from one rod to the other, usually from left to right or right to left, using the middle one as a way of moving each tile. You can only move one at a time, and you can't put a bigger tile on top of a smaller tile, which is where the challenge comes in. Over the next 3 or 4 videos, we are going to look at how to build this whole thing from the ground up, starting with the sprites, then with the board itself, and moving on finally to programming the tiles so they do what we want them to do. So let's head on over to Scratch where we can begin. This is going to be our programming space. If you're not familiar with Scratch, this is what it looks like. Over to the left, we have our libraries, different blocks to choose from, each one with their own purpose, they do their own little thing. In the middle, we have our programming space. This is where we are going to build our program. We join these blocks together in here to make our things over here in our little window do what we want them to do. And finally, down here is our little list or section for our sprites, and every sprite, every character we put in will end up down here, and this little one here is for backgrounds. Let's get rid of this guy first. We'll just delete that, and now we've got a fresh blank slate, and in fact it will automatically take you to the backdrop. So let's start there. Click up here, go to code, and click on backdrops. And now we can create our own backdrop, our own background for what it is we want to do. And your backdrop can be whatever you want it to be. For me, I'm going to keep it nice and simple. I'm going to try and make our game look as much like a real Tower of Hanoi as possible, i.e. it's going to have some discs, some rods, which all can be mounted on a wooden board. So I'm going to make my background look like a wooden board. To do that, I'm going to use this rectangle tool. I'm going to spread it across the screen like so. Let's make it about that big. I'm going to try and make mine so it fills the screen. So let's make this edge to edge. And let's change the color. Let's make this, I want it to look like a wood. So let's try and make it as woody as I possibly can. Let's see. That's not too bad like that. And in fact, what I can do, or what you can do if you want, is you can use the fill tool and come up here, and rather than have just one flat color, you can have a fade of colors. You can have it fade in from left to right, bottom to top, or you can have it fade in from a central point. And if you choose one of these, you can then choose 2 colors to fade between. Now I'm going to use this to show you, but I'm going to fade from a brownish color to a paler brownish color. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this dropper tool. I'm going to choose brown, and then I'm just going to tweak it a little bit so it's a bit brighter. So, and maybe even swap them around. So I'm going, rather than dark to light, now I'm going from light to dark. And if I put that, there we go. So that's going to be my background. Obviously it doesn't look like what I wanted it to, so I'm just going to have to position this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to center it. If you notice, there's a blue cross in the middle, and right in the middle of our screen here, we have another cross. We need to make sure these 2 things line up, like so. This isn't all that important right now for our background, but later on, when we come making our sprite, this will be very, very important. It'll have a big knock-on effect later on. And I'm going to use the arrow key, and I'm just going to drag it all the way down to the bottom, keeping it central. But now, over here you can see we've got our wooden board and then we can build the rest on it. That's going to be my background, nice and simple. And if I want, I can change its name, or I can change the name down here. Doesn't really matter. To make the sprites, what we're going to do down here, rather than click on this little icon, we're going to hover over it and go up to the paint icon like this. That'll bring you to another window, looks like this, exactly the same, only now we have a new sprite down here. And first things first, we're going to build the tiles. So the tiles, I usually just use the rectangle tool, make a rectangle, let's say I want it, no, that'll do. You can change the color, so let's go for a yellowish color, I think, for this one. There we go, that'll do. And now I need the center. So remember, I use the select tool here, click on it, get that blue cross, and then put it in the middle. It won't change much over here, not right now. I can move it around up here, and it doesn't affect this. That's the main thing. This right now is the important part. And then I'm going to make 2 more for the rest of my tiles. Slightly smaller each time. There's 2 ways you can do it. You can either come down here, click paint again and make another one, or you can simply duplicate this. So now I've got 2 things exactly the same. For this second one, I'm actually just going to make it a little bit smaller. Like so, center it, and that's that one done. Maybe even change the color. Let's give this let's go for a greyish kind of tinge to it. Something like that, that'll do. And then finally, I'm going to duplicate again. Click, make this one a little bit smaller. There we go. And why not? Let's make this one, bring this one back to a yellowish color, sure. Something like that, that'll do. Now I've got my tiles. I've got 1, 2, and 3. Now obviously, this was quite quickly done, quite rushed, so you can take a little more time to make them the right sizes, make them look as tidy and as neat as you like. But for now, just showing you, that's what we have. Next, we're going to make the poles, or the pegs, or the rods, or whatever you want to call them. This time, I'm going to hover down here, click on paint, got a new window. I'm going to change the color before I start. I'll just make this straight black, nice and simple. And then I'm going to make a long, thin pole. Let's go for that. Actually, I'm going to make this a bit smaller. Let's say about there. Now the height doesn't really matter as long as it's big enough that all 3 of our tiles stack up along like so. Okay, make sure to center it like that. And because the pegs, they're not going to change color, they're not going to do anything, I can nice and simply just duplicate these. So now I have 3 of them. Okay, nice and simple. So that's how we make the things that we need. Now let's get to assembling the board. Okay, so we go to code, which is nice and simple. Now I'm going to start off with the pegs. So remove these tiles out of the way. We don't need them just yet. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to use it as our center. So what I'm doing is I'm going to line it up so it looks like it's just coming out of our wooden base, and I'm going to use the numbers down here. It's up to you how you do it. You can do it by eye, by moving it with the mouse cursor, or you can use the numbers down here. You can think of this whole white square as a graph, with the middle point being 0, 0, y going up and down, x going left and right. This top corner would be positive x and y. We've got down here would be positive x and negative y, negative x, negative y, positive, negative x and positive y. Okay, so I've put my middle one at 0 and minus 55. Now just a case of spreading these 2 now along. Because they're the same height, and because we want them all to start at the same spot. We know the y for all of them is going to be the same. So the y for the three of them will be minus 55. That's nice and simple for us. So let's go ahead and we change that for all of them just to start with. So minus 55 there and minus 55 there. Now let's spread them out. We want it so that the biggest tile and the next biggest tile aren't touching or overlapping if they ever came into contact. Okay, if we ever got to a situation where we had one tile there and one tile there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread it out to something like that. We also want to make sure that our biggest tile doesn't end up off the edge. So I'll probably move this on a little bit further as well. So let's say, now let's use this number. Let's go for minus 140. So that was the wrong one. Like so. And then the other side would be just the opposite. Okay, so we've got minus 140 here. This side will be positive 140. There we go. So now our pegs are equally distributed. They're all the same height and the same distance between the edge and each other. Let's check. Actually, that will probably work out okay. So we don't have a problem there. And now let's assemble our tiles. So let's drop this down a little bit more. Maybe one more spot. There we go. And we're going to make sure the middle of our tiles is the middle of our pegs. So the X for all of them is going to be the same at the moment. So we'll change this one to minus 140. And then we just have to decide where we want it to say. That looks good. So we try that. Probably too high. That looks good enough. That's fine. And then lastly, put the top on. Like I said, the X is going to be the same for all of them. And in fact, I want that to come up down a little bit more. So let's say there. Okay. Now we've got our board set up, ready to begin. We need to make sure that it will always stay like this. Like I said, the object of the game is to move these tiles from one to the other. What we want is that every time we start that game, they go back and they start in the same place. And furthermore, the poles stay where they are as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use our programming ability to do this. Let's start with the pegs. And what we want is when we start the game, they stay where they are. So we're going to go to events, when green flag clicked, and we want this to happen forever. We want that as long as the game is running, we want what we're going to tell this to happen. So we need a loop, forever loop. That means anything inside this forever loop will happen continuously over and over and over and over again. Okay, and what we want is we want our pegs to stay where they are. They want to go to their positions. In our motion library, we have go to X and Y, and you notice that this X and Y value will match the X's and Y values down here. Put that one in there, and then we just simply do the same for the others. We go to events, when green flag clicked, forever loop, motion, and you notice as long as you change the sprite that you're on by clicking it down here, these numbers will automatically change for you. Okay, so now these change, I don't have to change those, they're done for you. Click down here, I'll do the same again, and again these numbers now have changed for me. Okay, that means when I click the green flag, these three things will go to where they are, stay there, and if I accidentally move them, they'll end up going straight back. And actually at the moment, this is a little bit confusing. We've got three identical sprites, sprite 4, sprite 5, and sprite 6. It's hard to keep track, so I'm going to rename them. Click this one, I know that, because if you click them, they like that. See that little blue box around them. I'm going to change this to say left peg, this is the right peg, so I'm going to change that to say right peg. And then this one is the middle peg. Change those like that. And so I can keep track of them better, I'm going to put my middle peg there. So now I have left, right. Now I have left, middle, and right. And in fact, I'm going to change these as well. So I'm going to say this is called bottom. This is called middle. And this is called top. Nice and simple. Okay. Now I can easily keep track which ones I'm trying to figure out, or trying to program. Then next, we've got these things staying in the same place. Now we want to make sure these three things go back to the same place, but they can still move about. Let's start the bottom first. Same thing, we want this to happen when we click our green flag. And now, instead of using a forever loop, because we only want it to happen once, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to move them. I'll show you that in a second. We want to go to there. And like I said, with these ones, the X and Y's are already done for you, like so. And they match up. Do the same for the middle one. Again, numbers, they match up. And finally, we do the same for the top one. And again, like I said, the numbers, they match up. Okay, so now, when I click my green flag, everything starts off where it's supposed to be. I click these rods and try and move them. They go back to exactly where they're supposed to be. That's good, that works. And if I try and move these, oh, there we go, I accidentally moved my rod, move these. We haven't told them to do anything else yet, so they can move around freely. They don't snap back like the rods because we haven't used a forever loop, but if I click my green flag, they all start back where they're supposed to do. And if you want to stop this kind of thing happening, where it appears that our rod is coming through or over our tiles, and what we do, we go to looks, we find the one that says go to front layer. We put this in every one of our tiles. Don't put it in the pegs, only the tiles. That way when we click this, we don't get that silly problem happening. Okay, that's the setup for our board. We've got our background, we've got our pegs, we've got our tiles, and everything starts where it's supposed to be. In the next video, we're going to go over programming this bottom tile here so that it goes over these three pegs and it goes where it's supposed to. Okay, so take your time, have a play about, get all of this looking how you want it to look, nice and tidy. If you want to move on and try and get this to snap to where it's supposed to on these, that's fine. When you're ready, click the next video and we'll go over how to do it.